When you raise your kids with high agency and a long term mindset, you end up hovering less, fixing less. They start to own their own stuff. They hit a wall and they figure it out instead of melting down or waiting for us to swoop in. So that means fewer daily blowups, tantrums, and fewer absolutely terrifying moments later when we're not there to catch them. That's the actual payoff. And it all comes back to two things. The first thing, high agency, which is basically your kids believing they're not powerless, that their choices matter, they're in control, that when something isn't working, they can try again or try differently. That messing up doesn't mean they're bad at something, it just means they haven't figured it out yet. The second thing is long term mindset, which is being able to care about what comes later, even when right now feels boring or hard or pointless. Understanding that most good things take a while, that effort and waiting aren't signs something's wrong. Together, those two things, high agency and a long term mindset, are huge. Agency gets kids to act, do the work. Long term thinking keeps them from quitting when it gets hard. Without both, you either get a kid who bails the second something gets tough, uncomfortable, or a kid who just sits around waiting for someone else to tell them what to do and what to do next. And here's what I'd add to that, because I think it's the piece that actually makes both of those things stick: discipline and consistency, not the punish and control kind, the quiet, boring, unglamorous kind. The kind where you do the same thing on Tuesday that you said you do on Sunday, even when you're tired and nobody's watching. And it would be so much easier not to. That's what makes agency real, because agency without discipline is just good intentions. Your kid can believe their choices matter, but if they can't follow through when it's inconvenient, when they're bored, when it's hard, when something shinier is right there in front of them, that belief doesn't actually go anywhere. Discipline is what closes the gap between I know what I should do and actually doing it. Here's the uncomfortable part though: modern life is pretty much designed to work against all of this. Every time we rush in to fix it, smooth it over, hand over a screen, or solve the problem for them, we're quietly chipping away at agency and shrinking their ability to think past the next 5 minutes. And screens and instant everything make it so much worse, because once fast and easy becomes the baseline, anything slow feels unbearable and anything hard feels optional. I get it. I really do. Sometimes we're just trying to survive until bedtime. We need to finish one phone call. We need our brain to stop making noise for 5 minutes, a little quiet time, handing over the iPad, or just fixing the thing yourself is the fastest path to do that. That's not bad parenting. That's a Tuesday. The problem isn't doing it sometimes, it's when it becomes the default. Because over time, kids learn that boredom should always be filled, that frustration should always be avoided, and that if they wait long enough, someone will step in and help them. And once that's the pattern, it's really hard for agency, discipline, and long term thinking to get any traction. So, what actually works in real life, not in theory? Giving kids actual responsibility is a big one. Not just chores to keep them busy, but real ownership, packing their own hockey bag, managing a little money, handling something from start to finish. Agency only grows when they feel this is actually on me. And discipline grows in the same place when there's something real at stake and they're the one who has to show up for it. Letting consequences do some of the teaching is huge and uncomfortable, but it works faster than any lecture ever will. When they forget something or make a bad call and you don't immediately rescue them, they learn and they remember. It builds ownership and it starts teaching them that choices have a cost, which is really the foundation of making smarter ones. This is actually where smart decision making develops, not from being told what to do, but from having enough room to make real choices, feel the results, and then adjust. That consistent loop of choosing, experiencing, reflecting, adjusting is how kids gradually build better judgment. But it only works if we're not constantly short circuiting it by stepping in too soon. Stretching time horizons a little bit matters too. Saving up for something instead of just buying it. Sticking with practice for a few weeks instead of chasing instant improvement, finishing a season before quitting. It helps their brain actually wire the connection between effort now and payoff later. Every time they do that successfully, every time they wait, follow through, and get the result, they're building the discipline muscle. They're proving to themselves that they can do the uncomfortable thing. And if they're asking forward looking questions instead of just giving answers, is a simple one that I think is really underrated. So if our kids are asking, what do I think happens if this keeps going? Or what do I think future me is going to wish I did here? We're nudging them to think ahead without taking the wheel from them. So we're quietly training them to run that calculation on their own, which is exactly what disciplined, high agency people do. They don't just react, they think about what comes next before they act. And modeling matters more than almost anything. They're watching us, the parent, constantly, even when it doesn't seem like it. When they see us save for something, stick with something boring because it matters, follow through when we say we would, talk openly about our goals that's months away, they absorb that. Our kids are watching how we handle it when doing the right thing is inconvenient. When we're tired, when it would be really easy to skip it. That's the version of discipline they actually learn from. You don't have to make it a lesson, it already is one. Letting boredom exist is more powerful than it sounds. When we try to fill every quiet moment, kids never have to figure out how to initiate or push through. Boredom is actually where a lot of agency starts. It's where kids have to decide what to do with themselves, which is one of the most important skills they'll ever develop. Helping our kids push past the hard part matters too. Not forcing them to do something forever, but helping them learn the difference between this is hard and this isn't right for me. That distinction is everything. Disciplined people don't quit just because progress slows down or the initial excitement wears off. They've learned that the hard part is usually the part right before it clicks. Talking about mistakes as part of a longer story makes a difference too. When they hear you say, okay, that didn't work, let's figure out what we'll do differently. They learn that failures isn't the end, it's just information. And that reframe is huge for agency because kids who see failure as final stop trying. Kids who see it as feedback keep going. And even just talking through what happened, what worked, what didn't, what they tried next time turns experience into something they actually learn from instead of just something that happened to them. The hard truth underneath all of this is that we can't fill a kid's life with instant rewards and quick fixes and then expect high agency, real discipline, and a long term mindset to just show up on their own. Kids don't rise to what we say, they fall into what we repeat. That applies to us too. The consistency we show or don't show is the curriculum. It's not what we tell them to do, it's what we actually do day after day when it's boring and hard and nobody's giving us a gold star for it. So if you want a place to start, just pick one spot where you usually reach for the fastest fix and slow it down a little. The one place where your kid could probably handle more than you've been letting them, and let them try it, even if it gets messy. So try one habit you want them to have that you could start modeling more consistently yourself. You don't have to redo everything, you just have to be consistent enough over time that they start to trust themselves, their effort, their choices, the idea that doing the hard thing now and waiting for results later actually pays off. Because that's what discipline really is at the end of the day. It's not about being strict, it's about being someone and raising someone who does what they said they do, even when it's hard, even when no one's watching, and even when easier options are everywhere. So, the combination of high agency and real discipline, smart choices, and a long term mindset is what actually prepares them for when you're not there managing it for them. I hope you found this content helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.